Hello, Miss Hunt Davenport. This is Avery.
Hi, Avery. How are you?
Well, thank you. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes. Just making sure that you can see the presentation queued up.
Uh, yeah, I see it.
Okay, wonderful. As usual, I'll start off with just a quick introduction and some housekeeping, and then I'll turn over to you, and then you can just cue me whenever you're ready to, um, shift to a new screen.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And also, you're under no obligation to keep your camera on. Usually, for these webinars, most people end up listening to them instead of watching them. So, if you do not want to keep your camera on, you certainly don't have to.
I'm fine with the camera being on.
Okay, alrighty. So, we're just going to give this a few more minutes. Alrighty, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCO's January webinar on financial aid and budgeting in optometry school. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. My name is Avery Cunningham. I am a student services and admissions officer here at SCO. I am one of the admissions team members who will be answering your admissions questions and participating in the admissions process with you once you start the application process here at SCO. Before we get started, I ask that we all use proper Zoom etiquette by keeping microphones muted unless speaking, limiting background noise, and respecting all webinars, attendees, and facilitators. We will have time for questions towards the end of the webinar, but in the meantime, if you do have any questions or concerns that need immediate attention, please use your chat feature, which should be at the top of your screen, to communicate with us. And also some quick housekeeping. This is a new platform. It's only our second time using Teams instead of Zoom to facilitate a webinar. So if there are any technical difficulties, again, just let us know in the chat and we'll be sure to address them shortly. Today, you'll be hearing from our Director of Financial Aid, Lachelle Hunt Davenport, who will be giving you an overview of the financial aid from budgeting to loans to how you manage your money once you're enrolled at SCO to give you some great insight on how you can plan financially for your time before, during, and after optometry school. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be free and available to view starting next week on our website. And with that, we turn over to you, Ms. Hunt Davenport.
Thank you, Avery, and welcome everyone. As Miss Avery said, I'm going to give you a brief overview on the financial aid process here at SCO. If you came for an interview, you received a black packet, which has pretty much all of this information in it. But if you have questions, you can hold them to the end, and I will be happy to answer your questions. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk about how to apply for aid at SCO. How much aid can you borrow per year at SCO? What types of aid we offer here, when and how you receive your student loans if you are borrowing student loans. We're going to talk a bit about debt management and then again questions. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about some applications. The first thing I want to talk about is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act form, which is known as FERPA. This form is located on NetPartner under the Applications tab. And basically, this form allows you, the student, to tell the financial aid office who can receive information on your financial aid. If you don't identify anyone, and you would identify those people by their last four digits of the social and their name, if there's no one identified, we're only going to talk to you and no one else. That's a federal requirement, and so we take that seriously. Also, there's a rights and responsibilities form, and basically this form gives you info on what your rights and responsibilities are when you borrow loans. That form is also located on NetPartner under View Documents. And if you don't complete that form, you won't be able to access your NetPartner account. NetPartner is where all of your financial aid information lives. There's some other forms. If you don't have a federal student aid ID, you must have one. You can complete that at www.studentaid.gov. If you have a spouse, your spouse will need to complete one as well. Um, the FAFSA, as you know, is online. It's at www.studentaid.gov. There's two master promissory notes, one for the direct unsubsidized loan and the other one for the graduate plus loan. And we'll talk a little more about those loans as we go through this presentation. Those forms are also located on studentaid.gov. And then everyone is required to do interest loan counseling. And interest loan counseling, they basically want you to understand that these are loans that you have to pay back. And let me just go back to the master promissory note. The master promissory note is where you agree to pay back the loan. Next slide, please. So we set a budget per federal regulations. Each year is typically called the cost of attendance. And basically, though, it's your total budget for the academic year. The example you see here is our current budget, 24-25. Your tuition is included, fees, books and equipment. If you do not have health insurance with someone else, every student is required to have health insurance. So you'll be allowed to either opt in or opt out the first week of June, I believe, on your health insurance. And then we also budget you for living expenses. As a first year student, your budget is 8 months. And so what you will do, that 17,560, if you were currently enrolled, you would divide that number by 8, and it will give you your monthly allocation for living expenses. Next slide, please. And this is a breakdown of the current budget for housing. If you're single, no kids, your monthly allocation, if you were enrolled this school year, would be $932. $600 a month for food, and et cetera. You can see all the numbers there. Next slide, please. We also offer the health professional student loan, and I mentioned the graduate plus loan, the direct unsubsidized loan. So let's focus a minute on the health professional student loan. That is a loan that is offered through the Department of Health and Human Services. Your eligibility for this loan depends on your parents' financial information. I sent out an email on January 6th, I believe, to all incoming students with information on how you apply for that loan. The direct unsubsidized loan, as a first year professional student in the optometry program, you can receive up to $40,500 per year. There are only a few programs that the government has an increased amount. Most graduate students get 20,500, but this program, optometry, allows you to get a little bit more. And then the direct graduate plus loan, that is based on the cost of, you can receive money up to your cost of attendance, minus any other awards that you're receiving, scholarships, etc., private loans. And it's based on your credit approval. Next slide, please. So every student enrolled at SCO is considered out of state. Everybody pays the same tuition. Everybody is eligible for the same amount in the unsubsidized loan. The HPSL loan may differ because, again, it's based on your parents' income, not yours. So the amount you receive for that may be a little different. Next slide, please. What if you need more money? So the only way to borrow more money is that your budget is increased. And we can do that through what's called a professional judgment appeal. It has to be specific situation, something that is has created an unusual or extenuating circumstance, and it requires quite a bit of documentation. I mentioned or showed you the items that are included in your budget, and these are items that the government has approved. Um, if you need more money, and let's say you have a car repair, you must provide proof that one, the car belongs to you, and that you paid for the repair work out of pocket. Same with medical expenses. If you need a new computer, we can provide you money for that. However, there are some items that cannot be added to your budget and increased. For example, the government says that we cannot allow you to use your funds to make auto payments or to purchase a car. You cannot use them to pay credit cards. Typically, pet expenses are not allowed, but if you have a pet who is, and I'm sorry, I just lost a word, a service animal, there has been some, in the past, there have been some exceptions to that, and we will look at that on a case-by-case basis. Next slide, please. So I've kind of mentioned those 3 loan programs. Now I'm going to give you a little more specific information. The health professional loan has a 5% fixed interest rate. The grace period is 12 months. That means you do not go into the grace period until 12 months after you graduate on this particular loan. The interest does not start accruing until you're in your grace period. It's a need-based loan. Once again, your parents' income is required. SCO is the lender, and then there's a company called Heartland, and they are the loan servicer. On the direct unsubsidized loan, the current interest rate is 8.083%. The grace period is 6 months. You have a 6-month grace period after you graduate. The origination fee, which is a service fee, is 1.057%, and it will be taken off the top of the loan before you receive it. You won't see that 1.057%, and neither will the school. Now, interest rates are subject to change every July 1st on the federal loans. So we won't know until closer to July if that 8.083% interest rate will change. And the origination fees change on October 1st. On the federal direct graduate plus loan, the interest rate is 9.083%. The grace period as well is 6 months. Origination fee is higher than it is on unsubsidized. It's 4.228%, and you must pass a credit check. And that credit check is good for 180 days. So every time you borrow from the Grad Plus, after 180 days, you will incur a new credit check. If you fail the credit check, you can use an endorser or a cosigner, and you can appeal that decision. And what I want to emphasize here, this loan, this is a hard inquiry on your credit. So it's just like buying a car, opening a credit card. Every time your credit is checked, it's a hard inquiry and it lowers your credit score. So at some point, this may have an impact on your credit score. I think that's important information to know. Next slide, please. We also offer federal work study positions. We have part-time jobs on campus. The pay range is from $16 to $20 an hour. Again, it's need-based. It's based on your student aid index from your FAFSA. You will be paid monthly from the school via direct deposit. And we also have community service projects, and those jobs pay $18 an hour. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There's other aid available. If you are a veteran or if you are receiving parents or spouses veteran benefits, we can assist you with that. And then we have military scholarships. We have Indian Health Service scholarships. There's the Arkansas forgivable loan and the North Carolina forgivable loans. As far as the forgivable loans are concerned, you will need to check with your state to see if you qualify for those. Indian Health Services, you will have to go through that agency to determine if you qualify for that scholarship as well. Next slide, please. So when filling out your FAFSA, if you hadn't already done so, you can, so the government is using FAFSA.gov, but they also use studentaid.gov. So either one of these links will get you to your FAFSA. Our school code is 003517. And basically what happens is the government determines your financial need based on a student aid index. Now, for our loans, that won't apply because the fact that you're a professional student, you're no longer eligible for the need-based loans. Everybody is eligible for unsubsidized and the Graduate Plus, and those are non-need based. What is need-based is the Federal Work Study Program. And so FAFSA is going to tell us what your student aid index is, and then we're going to determine if you're eligible for federal work study. And when you're entering your information into your FAFSA, you're going to use the IRS Direct Data Exchange tool. That will pop up in your FAFSA, and it will ask you if you want to have your tax information uploaded to your FAFSA. That is the only way you can do that now. It used to be that you could hand input the information, manually input it, but the Department of Education is no longer accepting that. And as I mentioned, I sent out an email, I believe on January 6th regarding the health professional student loan. So because parents are no longer eligible for graduate students information to be placed in their FAFSA, we are using what's called a College Scholarship Service application. It's the CSS profile, and you and your parents will complete that application. Next slide, please. So how do you receive and when do you receive your money? So we will post awards on your net partner account. Remember, that is where all the financial aid information lives. You will be instructed to accept your awards. Once the loans are accepted, we will send your loans to the loan servicer, and the funds will be dispersed to the school 10 days prior to registration of each semester. So first day of the 25-26 semester for incoming students is September 2nd. So your funds will be dispersed 10 days prior to that date. And once the funds are dispersed, please allow the business office 3 business days to transfer or deposit your excess funds into your personal checking account. Those excess funds are what you will live on, what you will use to pay your rent, utilities, purchase food, transportation, etc. Next slide, please. So what do you need to know? If you are interested in becoming a federal work study student, we need a copy of your Social Security card. If you want to see your loan balance, And this particular site, NSLDS, that's the National Student Loan Database System. That's going to show you both your undergrad as well as your graduate loans. Some apartments require proof of income. We will provide you an award letter as proof of what funds you're receiving. As far as I know, no apartment complex that we deal with has not accepted the award letter. And then there's information on how to log into your net partner account. And we have 3 videos listed on the financial aid link on our website. And one of those videos is to assist you in applying for the 25-26 FAFSA. The other one gives you an overview on net partner. And then the last one deals with the cost of attendance. But keep in mind, the cost of attendance currently is based on this school year. We don't have our new budget because we're waiting for tuition amounts, insurance amounts, and hopefully we'll have that at least by mid-March or early March. And we'll update that video on cost of attendance. And your cost of attendance will always be included on your net partner account. Next slide, please. So as I close my part of the presentation, listed are our contact information. I'm the Director of Financial Aid, and we have Ms. Delrita Branch, who's a Financial Aid Officer. Delrita is responsible for our Federal Work Study Program. And then, of course, we have a main number, global number, and our fax. And I believe, okay, so before we start this portion of the presentation, which I believe Ms. Avery will take it over from here, do you have any questions for me regarding the financial aid process?
Oh, actually, typically, financial aid usually covers this next half on budgeting examples.
Okay, I can
Yes,
do
ma'am.
that.
No worries. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So I'll just go into that and come back to the questions. So these are some reminders. Every dollar counts. And we would like for you to look for ways to, in your budget, to cut costs. So for example, rather than renting an apartment on your own, we encourage you to get roommates. And listed here is the www.everydollar.com. It has a budgeting app to help you with budgeting, and it's free to use. Next slide. How do you budget for your first year? I mentioned roommates as far as rent is concerned. We encourage you to cook and prepare meals, pack a lunch. And this year we actually offered cooking classes to students. I don't know if that will occur in the 25-26 year, but our cafeteria staff can assist you on how to cook foods and save a little money. Utilities, we're suggesting or offering no cable, just internet and Netflix. I know for some of us that's hard. I've got to have Netflix. Carpool where you can. Use your gas card from Kroger, but use apps to reduce costs on purchases for food, entertainment, etc. Next slide, please. Listed here are some recommended apps. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's some good ones on there. Gas Buddy is really good. I use that often to find the cheapest gas in my area. GoodRx, if you're using prescriptions, GoodRx is a good way to find cheaper prescriptions. But there's several things on here I think that are useful. Next slide, please. So some more budgeting and spending tips. If you talk to second and third year students, they have a little wisdom on how they manage their first year. So you can talk to them. If you have what we call an impulse purchase, before you make that purchase, we want you to come and talk to the financial aid office and make sure that that can be covered with your financial aid. sites like Amazon are great, but you still need to wait overnight to be sure about your decisions. And then streaming, um, things of that sort, volunteer opportunities, discount tickets, the museum, the zoo, the Civil Rights Museum, etc. in Memphis offers discount tickets on certain days. So pay attention to that. And the bottom line is just to remember to tell your money where to go because you are in control, not the money. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm at the question section now. So if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer what I can.
Yes, and for those with questions, you can put them in the chat or the Q&A. And again, you should be able to access that at the top of your screen. And then while we're waiting on some questions, maybe Ms. Hunt Davenport, any advice to students who might be 2 years out from applying to optometry school? Anything that they can do right now in order to prepare themselves for how to manage their finances or to budget or to apply for loans once they are ready for optometry school?
Well, so as far as loans are concerned, you won't be able to apply until you are ready to start school. But I would go out and compare private loans versus federal loans. I would certainly look into the health professional student loan. And then you can, 2 years out, you can apply at some schools for scholarships. There are scholarship websites that you can go out and look at. So the bottom line is do your research as early as you can um, prior to starting pharmacy school. And I see Miss Layla is typing a message. So we'll wait for that.
And I
And
suppose, oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah, I was just going to mention that I will be opening what's called booking for counseling, and I'll send that out to all students. But you can schedule a one-on-one counseling session with the financial aid office. Now, we will take care of our fourth-year students first because they start school in May, and then our third and fourth year. And then our second year students, they have a summer mini semester. So we'll move next to them. And we will probably open that booking calendar to first year students, I would say sometime in May or June. So be on the lookout for an email regarding that. And our calendars, myself and Miss Branch, our calendars are always up to date. So you just need to choose a time that you see available for us, one of us, and just book that opening.
And students who have not yet been accepted to SCO, they'll be able to access that calendar as well and schedule counseling sessions?
As long as I have an email address on them.
Wonderful, thank you. And
So
then
right now, yeah, right now we have the class of 29, and I think there's 91 students in there. So if you have provided the school with an address on them, Avery, they will be able to access that booking calendar.
Alrighty, very good. We do have a quick question. Do you recommend moving in with other optometry students? I live in the area and I'm on the fence between staying at home and moving into an apartment. Thanks. Let's see. I suppose I can answer this question.
Yes, I was going to push it off to you.
Right. So since it wouldn't be a question of finances for you, since it wouldn't be a requirement, say that you need to find a roommate because you're moving from a great distance, it really is up to you. I personally would say to help you connect with your peers. It's a great idea to have a roommate who's an optometry school student, just to help kind of build that sense of community, especially in that first year. But also considering how much money you could potentially save, not having to pay rent is also very important. And especially if you are close in the area, then you can still have a chance to interact with other SCO students. It might take a little bit more planning, planning ahead, being aware of other people's schedules, as opposed to just, being able to come home and having, 2 or even 3 fellow SEO students who are living with you that you can connect with. But again, it really does come down to a personal choice. If you are really intent on saving that money that you'd be spending on rent otherwise, and staying and living at home is perfectly reasonable. And there are tons of other ways to connect with SEO students, especially during that first year, if you do make that choice. And thank you for your question. All right, any other questions? Oh, let's see. We have one in the Q&A. This is from Sarah. For the HPLS loan, it asks for parents' information. What if I am planning to accept loans / pay for school myself?
Can you repeat that question?
Yes, for the HPLS loan, it asks for parents' information. What if I am planning to accept loans / pay for school myself?
So if you are not interested in it's called the Health Professional Student Loan, HPSL. If you're not interested in that loan, you are not under any obligation to apply for it. That's totally your choice. So if you plan on using the other federal loans, the unsubsidized Graduate Plus or private loans, that's your choice as well. But if you're interested in HPSL, you must provide parental information. I hope that answered that question.
I believe so. We'll see if there are any follow-ups, but any other questions? And I suppose I have a question. For students who maybe optometry school is their first time even considering student loans, do you have any advice for them where they can gain more information, more insight, especially if, they still have maybe another year or 6 months before they actually apply for optometry school? How can they learn more information about, what it means to take out a student loan?
So the website www.studentloan, I'm sorry, www.student.studentaid.gov provides you everything you want to know about student loans. And that is the purpose of interest loan counseling as well, is to give you a very in-depth and thorough overview of the federal loans process. We do have a link on our website regarding private loans. And so you need to do the research there. That's on the financial aid page as well. So I would just recommend researching all the loans and then making a very informed decision. I wouldn't borrow more than I needed. If you have other um, ways to pay tuition, pay for your living expenses, um, you take out what you need because at the end of the day, the loans must be paid back. So I would just do my research and make sure, one, I'm borrowing the right loan for you, and two, you're not borrowing more than you need. And of course, if you get more than you need, you have 120 days from the date the loan's dispersed to return funds. And we have quite a few students who come in the financial aid office practically every week returning loan money. And when you return that money, of course, you're not, that portion of the loan is paid off. There's no interest accruing anymore on that. And, you decrease your loan amount, your loan debt.
Great, thank
Any other
you.
questions?
Well, I'm not seeing any in our chat, but we have your email up here, and students are welcome to reach out to you if they should have any other questions, right?
Absolutely. And if they want to schedule a one-on-one counseling session, we're happy to do that as well. Now, the booking for counseling hasn't been open yet, but you can send me an email or send it to the financial aid at SCO, and either myself or Ms. Branch will be available to schedule those meetings.
Very good. Alrighty, well, if there are no more questions, then this brings us to the end of our webinar. I know we have covered a lot of information today, and I certainly hope that this webinar has been of assistance to all of you as you start on your optometric journey. Our next webinar will be held in February, where our Director of Academic Advising and our Officer of Diversity will discuss all of the different support systems we provide for students, from academic to emotional, and how SEO commits to making sure students feel welcomed throughout their time in school. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to request more information by signing up for our inquiry form. You'll receive a personal advisor and a personal brochure with information relevant to your goals and experiences. Thank you so much to Ms. Lachelle Hunt Davenport for sharing of your time and experiences, and a special thank you to all of our attendees who have joined us. We hope to see you in the next webinar in February, but in the meantime, have a great week and take care.
Thank you, everyone.